We were sitting in the dining room having coffee and our back doors open, wind, all this is blowing right through our house.
In eastern Dallas County, thousands are forced to leave where they live, work, or go to school. Life is disrupted by dangerous toxic fumes. Good evening. The drama began this morning with a highway accident.
A truck loaded with 40,000 pounds of the most toxic legal insecticide wrecked and caught fire. As the fumes drifted from the accident site at I-20 at Beltline, hundreds of Balch Springs residents were forced to evacuate, and some people exposed to the burning chemicals required medical treatment. We begin our reports with Channel 8's Brad Watson in Balch Springs. Brad?
Gloria, this truck has been burning now since 8 o'clock this morning, and there have been a couple of attempts to try and put it out. Just in the last few minutes, firefighters have tried once again to put the fire out with a wet kind of foam. We're going to show you live what that looks like from Helicopter 8 as we also talk with Balch Springs Fire Chief Mike Cooper. Chief, what are they trying to do right now with this wet foam?
Well, right now the AFFF foam is going to be applied. We've tried the sand, we've tried the dry chemical to no avail. There's 43,000 pounds of product out there. It's in a pile. The containers have all burned away, so we're faced with first having to agitate the product, and then we're going to have some fire exposed to put it on. Pile is quite deep, and it's quite a bit of product, so that's why we're having a pretty difficult time with it.
Do you still consider this a dangerous situation?
This is about as dangerous as it can get. It's a poison hazardous material, which is the worst of the classes. The wind is pretty strong. It's keeping the smoke column right on the ground. We've got a lot of people evacuated, and they're probably going to be out at least till dark. We know that I-20 is going to be closed probably until even tomorrow.
All right, and when do you think you'll finally get this thing out if the foam doesn't work?
Well, this is our last trick. If the foam doesn't work, we're just going to have to let it burn itself out. Of course, that'll take more time, and it's got to cool off after we do extinguish it so we can pick it up, package it, and carry it off.
So how many thousands have been evacuated?
About 1,500 from Balch Springs. We were so lucky it was in the daytime and not nighttime, and most people were at work. Mesquite, I don't know what their area of evacuation was or how many people they evacuated.
And, of course, these people want to know when they can go back home. The best guess?
Absolutely. I'm looking for dark in Balch Springs. We've already cut back to 6:35 on the west perimeter. We hope as the wind shifts around to the southwest to back it up even more. And if they'll stay tuned, we'll keep you advised.
Okay, sometime tonight then you hope.
We hope before dark.
Okay, thank you very much, Chief. As I mentioned, this has been burning over 6 hours now. It happened this morning when this truck went off the road on Interstate 20 and crashed. That was about 8 o'clock this morning. Police say the eastbound 18-wheeler slipped off Interstate 20 after blowing a tire and slammed into the support of an overhanging sign. It exploded and caught fire. Witnesses tried vainly to rescue the driver.
And I was trying to get over there to see if there's anything could be done to help the driver, but there was nothing, he couldn't get to it. It's too much fire.
Melinda Goodson drove along the frontage road when the truck blew up.
It just burst into flames. I saw it was like a small explosion, actually, and everything just burst into flames.
Fire departments from Balch Springs, Dallas, and the county soon learned of the truck's dangerous cargo. 40,000 pounds of a powdered, highly toxic pesticide called Aldicarb. It's used to kill insects on cotton and citrus. Pouring water on the fire was out of the question because Aldicarb becomes even more dangerous.
The powder itself, if you don't add water to it, you add water to it to use it as a pesticide. It's just a powder. We put water on it, it becomes a dangerous chemical now.
The company that makes Aldicarb says it doesn't believe the chemical poses a risk as it burns, but says there's at least a slight risk the chemicals could turn into other volatile substances.
That's always a case that there could be new chemical compounds created in the combustion process of a fire. But there's no evidence that we've seen that any of those would be Temec.
Temec is the commercial name for Aldicarb. About midday, firefighters dumped on a carbon dioxide-based dry powder, but the intense heat defied it. The smoke continued to drift north. The city of Balch Springs evacuated up to 2,000 people after a shaky start.
We were kind of prepared, but we weren't totally prepared. It caught us off guard, but we recovered quickly. We had the east side of town evacuated in an hour and 15, 20 minutes.
Hours later, Melinda Goodson, whose day started on the frontage road, evacuated her nearby home, complaining of burning skin.
Pretty scary. I'm about ready to go to the emergency room. I'm burning right now pretty good.
Melinda, one of up to 2,000 people, we believe, who has been evacuated, who, as the fire chief just mentioned a moment ago, may be able to go back home tonight. Well, the evacuees are having a bad day, but there are a lot of motorists who are also having a bad day. I-20 was closed both directions after this wreck this morning. Let's go back up top now with Valerie Williams in Helicopter 8 to get a better view and a little bit more about traffic. Valerie?
Well, Brad, up until a few minutes ago, the truck was still smoldering. If we can, let's take the ground shot. It's been kind of eerie because normally there's been a lot of, this is normally the time of day when you get a lot of ground traffic because it's rush hour. We're hovering right above Beltline Road right now, and I-20 is closed down about a mile to a mile and a half in either direction, at least in one direction all the way to 635. Now, no one has been able to come up, as you mentioned, with a complete solution on how to completely stop those flames, the burning semi. They've been afraid to use water because the pesticide becomes more dangerous, more volatile when you use water. That they tried a dry powder earlier today, and they had some success, but not enough to smother the flames. And now, if we can, let's go to some video that we shot just a few minutes ago, right before we went on the air. You will see some people in blue suits. They are spraying foam onto the semi. And they seem to be having better success with that because we noticed immediately that the flames that we had been seeing from the air died down. We understand that the name of this foam is called AFFF foam, and basically what it does is it removes the oxygen from the fire, which allows it to smother the fire. At any rate, it does not look like that I-20 will be open anytime soon to traffic because the situation with the semi is such that they have not been able to completely clear the scene, so it doesn't look like it will be open anytime soon to traffic. DPS says, please make alternative plans at this hour. For many people, alternative plans include finding
a deadly chemical, Aldicarb, which can be fatal if swallowed, harmful if it comes in contact with the skin or eyes. And the chemical's manufacturer, Ron Palank of North Carolina, has had a history of trouble, which includes plant explosions and leaks, injuring scores of workers and civilians. But the emergency crews which came face to face with the burning tanker were lucky. Only a couple suffered any side effects, watering eyes and shortness of breath.
Doing all right?
Oh, yeah.
What were your symptoms, if any?
I had none. It was just
precautionary.
Okay. One guy had a little bit, but the rest of us were fine.
Nearly 100 people who somehow came in contact with the smoke showed up at local hospitals, but only 6 had even minor symptoms.
It takes pretty direct exposure to them to be toxic. It takes ingestion, it takes getting the chemical on you, it takes inhaling directly in the fog of the chemical itself.
Get your stuff and west of town. Anything you need to be on the west side of 635. We got a dangerous spill.
It's being evacuated right now. They just issued...
Mesquite officer Wayne Clear found himself telling his own neighbors they couldn't go home, all the while hoping someone would get word to his wife to get out.
They were planning to go to my mother's in Garland anyway, tell them to load up, take the dog, and go.
Taking care of people is the top priority, but many worry about their animals. Tommy Daniels was among the few able to get his birds, his bunny, and his Dobermans out.
If I don't like to breathe the air, they're not going to breathe it either.
So, did you see other people's dogs still in there?
I didn't see anybody in there. It's like a ghost town.
Well, it's a long way from a ghost town here at the Evans Recreation Center. As we said, 200 families already here. Here's those other 2 places that they're going to be housing evacuees tonight. The Balch Springs Police Department, that's on Hickory Tree, and also Lego Elementary School on Edgewood, both those locations in Balch Springs. And as I said, the Texas Baptist men are cooking. It's chilly. It's canned. It's going to be piping hot here. They're just about to fire up the big kettle. And so they're going to have 400 meals here and room for more than that, a number of people to sleep at these 3 locations around the area. This is Gary Reeves reporting live from Mesquite.
Okay, Gary, thank you. The chemical accident sent nearly 40 people to hospital emergency rooms. Most of the victims were firefighters or police officers. But some were people who feared they would get sick from the pesticide and they wanted to see a doctor. Here's more on that tonight from Channel 8's Bill Brown.
At Baylor Medical Center, ambulances rolled in one after another, bringing firefighters and police officers exposed to the cloud of pesticide-laced smoke.
If you do have any signs or symptoms of respiratory problems at all, then we're recommending that you go and see a doctor if they do not resolve within about 2 hours.
At the Poison Control Center at Parkland Hospital, the phone lines were buzzing and people were coming in, all worried that the chemical would make them sick. 18 people went to Mesquite Community Hospital. Only 1 man admitted there. At Baylor, 17 people arrived, police officers and firefighters from Balch Springs, Mesquite, and Dallas. 3 patients went to Parkland. All wore the special suits and paper shoes given to them by the hazardous materials experts. Also brought here was Barry Dutton, the truck driver who stopped and entered the smoke to try to save the trucker trapped in his burning rig.
The guy that was in charge, he made a good decision right away, held us back, and I think Balch Springs were up there a little too far. Maybe.
Okay.
But we have no symptoms, we're fine.
At Baylor, the doctors had each man take a 15-minute shower. Then they watched them for a while. If they showed no signs of sickness, they were soon released.
Did you know that possibly dangerous chemicals were in the air?
Not until I went back around to see what was in the truck. There was a poison placard on the truck. You know, I backed my guys off then at that time.
The pesticide Aldicarb has been known to weaken the immune systems of laboratory rats. It can cause breathing problems, vomiting, diarrhea, and other ills. But it appears none of the people treated had any of those problems.
The few that we have had problems, they've been very minor, like maybe lung irritation from the smoke, which we would anticipate anyway. But we have not seen anybody with symptoms of the carbamate poisoning.
Most of the men taken to hospitals after a checkup went right back on duty.
One of the hazards of being a firefighter.
But you're okay?
Yeah, this time.
Bill Brown, Channel 8 News.
And the latest word is that of the 38 people who went to hospitals as a result of the pesticide leak, all but 2 now have been released. 1 person remains in a Mesquite hospital, and a man is still under observation at Parkland.
Onto the street.
Thousands of residents in eastern Dallas County wonder if they'll make it home tonight. They were forced to evacuate their homes because of toxic fumes burning from a wrecked truck.
Good evening, and thank you very much for joining us tonight. The day's drama began with a fiery highway accident this morning that sent toxic fumes drifting over Balch Springs and parts of Mesquite. Throughout the day, dozens of people required medical care, and thousands more were forced to evacuate the area near Beltline Road and Interstate 20, where the wreck occurred. Tonight, Channel 8's Alan Berg begins our reports from the accident scene. Alan?
Tracy, firefighters fought this truck fire throughout the day. They got it under control late this evening, finally extinguished the fire. The challenge now is to assess the damage that was done by the fire because of the hazardous substance that was involved. We do have a helicopter hovering above the scene, which will give you a better idea of what they're doing. You can see that they have set up lights around the truck. We're told that all that is left of the truck is the frame of the truck. The driver was inside. We are told by people that have been close to the scene that they're not able to recover his body. They do have people in hazardous materials suits that are working around the truck now to assess the impact from the pesticide. Also tonight, air samples were sent to a laboratory for analysis to determine what type of contamination there may be, if any. The challenge, as I said, is to clean up this mess. As the day closed, firefighters and emergency workers were left with a burned-out truck, some potential ground contamination, and a few hurt feelings in a shaken community.
But we won't hold nobody responsible on nothing. I couldn't go in. So I was going, what about my animals? What about my horses? Can't do it. Can't do it.
Investigators believe the truck blew a tire, hit a signpost, then caught fire. Melinda Goodson watched it happen.
It was a sound kind of like a small explosion, just a burst, and then the flames went crazy.
The semi was loaded with 43,000 pounds of Aldicarb, the most toxic insecticide registered with the EPA. The chemical is activated with water, which posed a challenge to firefighters. They used dry chemicals and sand before finally switching to foam.
The powder itself, if you don't add water to it, you add water to it to use it as a pesticide. It's just a powder. We put water on it, it becomes a dangerous chemical now.
Police evacuated a 4-square-mile area between 1,500 and 2,000 people.
But you need to stay southwest of here.
Bill, this is Nathan. We're on our way. They're evacuating the park. We'll see you in a little bit, brother.
The evacuations were precautionary. The smoke from Aldicarb is not considered dangerous because the toxins break down under heat. However, they can transform into sulfur oxide and nitrous oxide, 2 compounds that can irritate skin and eyes. One of the many tasks for firefighters tonight has been to wash down the equipment in the cars that were present at the site today. That's because of the ash and dust left over from the smoke. We talked to a federally funded hotline, and the people there said that anybody that was downwind of today's fire should wash any dust or ash that they see from anything that they had outside their home. If ash or dust got inside their home, then they are to use wet paper towels or rags to wipe up the dust, throw those towels and rags away. And then again tomorrow, they expect I-20 to be closed for at least part of the day. Reporting live, Alan Berg, Channel 8 News. John?
All right, thanks a lot, Alan. Well, nearly 40 people exposed to the pesticide-laced smoke went to hospital emergency rooms. Most were firefighters and police officers who were working at the site of the crash. Some people who feared the chemical would make them sick showed up at hospitals. 6 patients complained of lung irritation, but only 1 was admitted. Many people phoned the Poison Control Center at Parkland Hospital. They were told if they had symptoms that didn't go away after 2 hours, they should see a doctor. Now, tonight, as many as 5,000 people who live near the accident site are waiting to get back to their homes. They were evacuated from an area east of 635 and north of I-20.
This evening, many of them are counting the hours at emergency shelters, and Channel 8's Valerie Williams is at one of those centers now. Valerie?
Well, Tracy, the Evans Community Center is just one of about a half a dozen places that has been turned into an emergency shelter tonight. Earlier, there were about 300 people in this place. Now, they've all been fed chili tonight, and they've had games to play, but mostly folks are just biding their time until authorities can give the all-clear signal. Many people, like the Jaquez family, are hoping that comes before midnight tonight.
The worst part about waiting, not knowing when we can go home, and not knowing if there's a tragedy somewhere around there still yet to come.
Now, most of the families that were evacuated tonight come from within a 5-mile radius of the accident site. We get more details on today's scramble to escape the toxic fumes from Channel 8's Barbara Newsom.
He came down our street and he was hollering, "You must evacuate now." And we weren't dressed. Nobody was dressed.
A faint burning smell of toxic fumes alerted people to the danger. Late in the morning, 2 Balch Springs elementary schools were evacuated. Business days were disrupted, and residents were told to leave their homes.
I've never been through anything like this before, so I don't know what to expect.
No, you can't get in your apartment right now. They've evacuated the area, and you can't go in right now.
High winds complicated matters. With each hour came more orders for evacuations.
It's being evacuated right now.
Safe zones were declared in area schools and city offices. By evening, youngsters evacuated from daycare centers and schools waited in new, strange places for a familiar parental face.
Do you want to go home?
The experience didn't frighten 4-year-old Mercedes. Daycare workers tried to create normalcy among the chaos in a hot, stuffy school gym.
You had to run away? Why?
Because the gas will make us sick.
It'll make you very sick.
He needs to be changed when you get home.
As teachers awaited parents, relatives searched evacuation centers for loved ones.
We've been looking for my auntie and my 2 cousins. That's with her. They had to go evacuate. They can't. They had to leave.
Families were reunited after a day of agonizing wonder.
My girlfriend was helping me. She was making a lot of phone calls. So between the 2 of us, phone calls and the daycare, the director happened to go back there so that she's handing out naps as to where to pick up your kids. So.
Many evacuees found safe homes to bed down in for the night. Those left behind passed idle time, meeting new friends, playing games, and wondering how long a toxic plume would keep them from continuing their daily lives. Barbara Newsom, Channel 8 News.
Most evacuees have had nothing but positive things to say about the help that they've received today, but one complaint that we've gotten is from upset people who think that some local motels have unfairly raised room rates. In some cases, we've been told that rooms that were going for $50 a night are now going for about $100 a night, and lots of people think that's a little unfair. Reporting live from Mesquite, I'm Valerie Williams. Back to you, John and Tracy.
Okay, Valerie, thank you. And if your children go to schools in the affected area, here's a number you can call to see if schools will be open tomorrow. That number is 288-6411. Now, the decision, we understand, won't be made until sometime overnight, possibly into the wee hours. But again, that number with a recorded announcement is 288-6411.
Filing an insurance claim. Now, life here for the last 24 hours has been really an ordeal for the people who live here. People were removed from their homes and kids were yanked out of school in the middle of the day, but Channel 8's Jesse Gary reports the day after at 2 area schools.
Students arriving at Ed Hodges Elementary School in Balch Springs this morning have the usual pep in their steps. Their attention locked on the school's Western Day. Their energy level is high, even though many didn't get much sleep Thursday night.
6 o'clock this morning, I woke up at 5:45. Well, no, about 4:45. Where were you?
Principal Elaine Hornsby says many students spent the night away from home. They were evacuated when an 18-wheeler crashed just south of their school. A powerful pesticide was knocked into the air. But that was Thursday. Today was different.
It's not going to be like yesterday. I'm like, it's going to be fun. I'm going to be in a parade. That's what it's a Western parade.
I'm not sure they understood. The children probably were affected more by their parents than by what happened with us.
Just south of Hodges, at AC.
Thing officials here have to deal with still is the investigation. They still haven't determined exactly what caused the crash. The truck driver who was in the vehicle when it crashed and burned, he was taken out of the wreckage earlier this morning. His name is still not being released until his family members can be notified, but that's the second thing they'll have to deal with here after the cleanup is complete. Reporting live from Balch Springs, Edie Dreyer, Channel 8 News. Back to you, Gloria and John.
All right, thank you.